And I'm joined by John Courtney of Pure Reason Revelation. Hey, Keaton, John.
I'm good, thank you. Nice to be here again. So thanks for having me.
No. Thanks for coming back, man. Last time we spoke, of course, you guys were all set to release previous album, Above Cirrus, now set to release Coming Up to Consciousness,
Yep.
which is a couple of weeks' time, 6th of September. Uh,
Yeah.
how was the writing process changing between the two albums? Did you change anything, how you're approaching it? Did you have a vision in mind? I appreciate certain themes became apparent, but in terms of the writing process itself, did you change anything at all?
Um, I on this record, I wanted to avoid doing like Pure Reason Revolution cliches, or not cliches, but like doing our usual stuff.
Hmm,
So I purposely wanted to avoid going back to my favorite D minor and moving into some different stuff tonality. So I dusted off my old jazz guitar book, and
nice.
this gave me a few starting points. I literally just needed a chord or two to just set me off in a different direction. So this helped to extend the palette a little bit. Um, and on this record, I think some tracks stay chilled. They don't all explode into all guns blazing, the end of the world's about to happen. And that's fine. Some songs can stay chilled. Other songs do end with all guns blazing, but I just wanted to do things a little bit differently.
That's cool. I mean, with this album, again, there is still plenty of texture
Yeah.
throughout, which has always been a key element with yourselves. I've been fortunate enough to hear it. You'd obviously, you released your singles previously. Um, but with that, you're saying did you feel like because you kind of, for want of a better term, threw the Pure Readers and Revelation rule back out the window, that there was really no untapped sources to obtain by?
Yeah, I mean, when we sort of started out, there was always there's no rules with Furies and Revolution. We can use any instrumental textures. Songs can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. Anything goes really. And I think on this record we did move into, I mean, on this record you get some harmonica. We've never used harmonica before. And
Yeah,
there's a
that was
couple
a
of
surprise.
cheeky bits of harmonica on there. Influences change as you go through life's journey. And on this record, I was listening to a lot of Talk. I was listening to a lot of Elliott Smith.
Okay.
I was listening to a lot of The Smile record. Um, yeah, so that, some of these more chilled influences were coming into my life. And yeah, so I think while you do get the explosive stuff, maybe some of this record is more chilled out, and that's fine. The next record, maybe that'll be more grungy or something. I don't know, but for this record, yeah, it just took its own course. And in terms of writing, I did a few by myself in the studio in
Yeah.
Berlin. I did a few with Greg, and then we also had, Ravi did drums on this record, which is the first time he's done drums. Previously, we had Jeff Dugmore on the last two records.
Yeah.
Um, and what else did we have new? We had Guy Pratt on bass, which
That's
was
nice.
which was really cool. Um, and we also had my friend Levin, who we met at night at the club. He did some extra keys on this record because he's a wizard on the keys, like whether it's pianos or organs and stuff. So I guess yeah. And then Annika came to Berlin to do vocals. Obviously, this was different because previously it was with Chloe.
Yeah.
So this was the first record with Annika. Um, yeah, so things were a little bit different, some things similar, but I really enjoyed this process. I think with each album, I enjoy the album process more and more. I get used to what I like doing, and I know what I really don't like doing, like drum editing. I hate doing drum edits. So so that's why it's great to have Ravi, who definitely does this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Obviously, like we were saying, obviously, it's the first record you've done with Annika. Which
yes,
obviously she did the tour with you guys because I'm guessing Chloe was tied up with James bits and pieces.
yeah.
Um, with this record, was it a case of Chloe was just tied up all the way sort of through the process, or did you feel that Annika deserved her moment to record, as it were?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of both. We, I think I spoke to Chloe sort of early on with the demos, the album demo, where it was getting to the point of maybe having some female vocals. And Chloe and I spoke, and she, yeah, she said, "Look, I'm super busy with James and with her day job." And she said, "I can sing on the record, but I won't have time to do live again. I get like 2 weeks holiday a year.
Yeah.
After that, James touring, and it's just too packed." And so we talked a bit more, and it was just the feeling was, if Chloe's going to sing on the record again, then maybe that's just more confusing for people where she's singing on the record, but then not doing it live again. So by the end of the conversation, we decided, look, it just makes more sense for Annika to sing on the record and to do it live. The door is open. Chloe and I remain good friends. I went to go and see James when I was back in Manchester. Um, and the door's open for the future. Who knows what happens? But yeah, it just feels like this is time for Annika to come in and do her thing. And she's got a fantastic voice.
Amazing voice.
She's available for shows. She has the time. She's juggling other stuff, but she has the time, and that's fantastic. We get on well. We had a great time in Berlin doing the vocals. So yeah,
Nice. I mean, it sounds like the perfect solution for what is right now. At the end of the day, to have Annika in while there's that opportunity there. I
yeah.
mean, how obviously you toured with Annika, you know what she's like as a touring vocalist and someone to be do shows with. But how was the process? Did there anything the sort of process change in terms of how did you find it being with her in the studio as opposed to being live?
Let me think. With the last two records, with Utnir and Above Sis, actually with Utnir, Chloe and I did a couple of songs together in the UK, but the rest was done remotely.
Okay.
So, I would send over stuff to Chloe, like finished verses and stuff like this, and then Chloe would sing like an octave above, and then there'd be some harmony parts, laid out, so she would sing the harmonies too. Um, and that worked really well remotely. I could send the stuff over, and then a few days later, Chloe would send the stuff back. And then with Annika, I guess with those two albums, it was over a period. So
Yeah.
maybe over 3 months, we got the vocals together. Whereas with Annika, it was really intense. She came to Berlin for 4 or 5 days, and we just
Oh, wow.
blasted it out over the 4 or 5 days. So we did long days in the studio, but we got it all nailed. And yeah, so that I guess that was different. Yeah, that was a different place.
Yeah, I think good. I mean, like I say, you've already released, Dig Till You Die and Useless Animal, both great songs off the record, but what made you choose those songs to release first in particular?
I'm not sure. Maybe this is like over to the label. Like they'll have a they'll make a few suggestions. Uh, but it's open for discussion. They
Hmm.
don't sort of say, look, these are going to be the singles. Freddie will suggest, Thomas will suggest, how about these ones? And so yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then we'll have a talk about which one should perhaps come first in the
Yeah.
in the series of singles before. So we've got three before the record. Um, yeah, and there's a bit, there's discussion. And then we get there from that. But I think that these singles we've had Dig Till You Die, Useless Animal, and the next one's going to be Betrayal,
Oh, great.
which
Good
will
choice.
be out just before the album. And I think they sort of all showcase the album.
Yeah. It's just interesting that on the album, like you say, there are a lot more, there's more sort of chilled outside of your repertoire, but the theme obviously is quite dark in terms of dealing with grief and everything else that was going through, which obviously a lot of people, you've always written really personal lyrics.
Yeah,
And I always really admire that. And you always feel like you get a bit of you, whatever you're going through in that moment of writing on a Pure Reason Revolution record. And stereotypically, you might assume as somebody who's gone through grief, both similar to what you're talking about, the loss of your pet, and general grief in general, you could be wrongly assumed to think that the songs would be maybe towards the heavier side of what you guys do. But it's that nice kind of juxtaposition of I think it makes it all the more poignant because
yeah,
it's not too focused on musically anyway. It's not necessarily focused on the angrier side. There's a
yeah. I think sometimes when I talk about the themes of the record, some of the concepts in this and the themes, it sounds a bit depressing when I talk about it. But I hope that when you listen to the record, you get the light and shade moments. Yeah, there's some dark themes covered, but I hope that at the end of it, there's a feeling of positivity and hope. You know, it's not all this doom and gloom.
No, absolutely
Like
not.
you said, that there's these juxtapositions between, pretty sections through to heavy parts, and perhaps this reflects emotions as well. Often when I'm writing music, that then influences the lyrics, and you sort of have this constant exchange between the two. Um, when I'm writing, there's, the music, and you get excited about the music, and then that feeds the lyrics, and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, when I was listening to it, and thanks again for allowing me to listen to it. I appreciate it's not out; it's not always possible, so I appreciate being able to hear it. It really did feel more like a reflective point of view on those emotions rather than it being, you know, in the trenches, so to speak, with it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I had sort of at this, when was it, like the August 2022, when we had Dennis put to sleep.
Mm.
Uh, I sort of had a bit of time after this. Uh, and it was when I met my friend Craig Walker, he was the vocalist in Archive,
Oh yeah.
uh, a few records, and Power of Dreams, an Irish chap. And we met for coffee in Berlin. And I told him about these crappy few months that I'd had.
Mm.
Um, and really around this time, I had no inspiration for writing music at all. I was spending some time, trying to improve my guitar playing and my piano theory and stuff like that. But I wasn't actually getting any music out. And I told him about these few months, and he was like, John, like, he's like, you need to get this down in lyrics and music. He was like, this part you've just told me about, taking your dog to the vets. He's like, this is track one. He's like, track two, then the emotions you felt like when you were coming back the days after. He's like, this is track three. He was like talking me through like how you could piece this together. And then he was like, this possible asbestos exposure, and then the emotions you had after this, beginning therapy and things, and your obsessive compulsive disorder. He's like, this is track four. And so it was after I'd seen him that I thought, okay, right, let's get some of this down in writing, and let's start with the music. And then once I sort of had this catalyst after meeting him, I think I was ready at that point. I'd had the break
Yeah.
on the sort of mayhem and the sort of uncontrollable emotions, to now it being a bit more, okay, right, I can get this down. I've sort of had, I'm feeling well enough to get this down into music and lyrics. So yeah, I guess it was reflected by that time and not in the throes of it. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, you mentioned earlier, obviously, that Guy Pratt is appearing on 7 out of the 8 tracks that Guy's on.
Yeah.
I'm a bass player myself, so when I saw that Guy was going to be involved in the record, I was like, oh wow, amount of people
Yeah.
that Guy's play with, this is going to be really fun. So how did that end up coming to be?
So again, my friend Craig, one evening I was in the studio doing a bit of social media scrolling,
Hmm.
and I saw he did a post saying, just seen Saucer Full of Secrets in Berlin, met the guys, what an amazing night. And I thought, damn, like, how have I missed this concert? I really wanted to see Saucer Full of Secrets. It's been in the city I live in, I've missed it. So straight away messaged Craig and said, I probably told him off for not telling me about it, even though it's totally my fault, and just said, are they doing other shows? So I quickly looked online and I saw they were playing Leipzig the day after, and that's only like 2 hour drive from Berlin. So I said to Craig, if you can get his guest list, I'll drive us down to Leipzig. Sure enough, we got guest list for the night after, and then jumped in the car, went down to Leipzig, saw Source Full of Secrets, great band, got to meet the band afterwards, which was fantastic. And then that's how the relationship with Guy began.
Ah, cool.
I got to see them again a few months later when I was in the States working with Greg. He was living in Portland and they were playing in Seattle, so we got to connect again at the Seattle show. And I think that's where we discussed, let's try a collaboration or something.
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah,
So
that's how it began.
nice. So very much more expensive. That explains the more kind of expensive bass sound across this record there.
Yeah, and I think for me, like recording, the bass really is like this is probably poison to your ears, but the bass is like an afterthought to me. It's not like the most prominent thing for me. It's about the melody and the dynamics, the light and shade, and how the whole thing is connecting and flowing. So like the bass, it's not at my fault, I'm a guitarist,
Yeah.
piano person, so the bass comes after. So for me to have someone like Guy, who it's like their thing, it's their speciality, they're a demon at this. It's really nice. And I'd send him something and get it back, and it'd be like, wow, like, this is totally not what I would do, and so much better than what I would do.
I was going to say on that front with it going off to Guy and Guy putting his stamp on it, did it get taken in directions that you might not have necessarily gone with it bass wise?
Yeah, he did stuff that I probably wouldn't have done, but I like that. I just really, nothing he sent back was like, oh, that's not right. It was very quickly within, yeah, it was pretty much bang on. Like I couldn't, maybe there were a couple of things we talked about and altered slightly,
Yeah,
but
what's going to happen in the writing process with anyone, isn't it? So,
exactly. So, but it was, yeah, it was just really good. Like I loved it. And I loved the collaboration, and I think I learned that more with this record, that yes, I like my alone time in the studio, but I also love, connecting with other musicians and sparking off each other. Like when I go and write with Greg, I love it. We usually start with no sort of preconceived ideas. We start from something with scratch. He probably sits at the piano, I'm on the guitar, and we just start with something, and we have like very close references. So I can say, try something a bit Floydy, or try something a bit Beach Boys era, Smile. That piano's too flowery, do it a bit more Beatles. Do you know what I mean? Like we know, let's try some programming a bit like Radiohead in Rainbows, and we know what we're talking about very quickly, um, which is really useful.
yeah, I mean, I guess from from Furies and Revolution's fans' point of view, what I've liked about the build up to the album, despite obviously I've heard it now and it's a phenomenal record, is everyone that I've seen who's been a part of it are really seeming really, really invested. I saw some social media posts from Guy himself. I saw some stuff from Bruce Soord. Obviously, he mixed it. And I saw, so, Bruce put a very cool post up about how it felt like it was a project that he felt that he was immediately, it wasn't just another mixing project for him. He was immediately invested in what he was doing with yourselves.
Yeah, and that's another collaboration which I've missed off, is the whole mixing thing with Bruce. And for me, I'm writing the stuff, and then doing the production, and I'm just too close on it. Like I can't do the technical stuff. Once I've done all the production, and I've got the song to a certain level, I need to hand it over. And it was so nice doing that with Bruce, because he just really got it from the get-go. And he said, I think it was on the first track, he's like, John, this mixing this comes really naturally to me, because I'm in this area of music. So he could connect with it really easily. And yeah, and the process with him was really nice. He added some guitar bits. Sometimes he was an ear when I could say, which bit do you prefer? Do you prefer this? Do you prefer that? And he'd be quick to send me a decision on stuff. So yeah, I absolutely loved working with Bruce, and I can definitely see us doing that again.
Was it a similar thing like you were talking about having, the writing relationship with Greg where you can bounce ideas off? And then obviously, did you feel like you had a similar relationship working with Bruce on the mixing side?
Yeah, definitely. We could talk things through super easily, super quickly. And we had, close reference points. So yeah, it was really cool. I think like two of the tracks, the mixes he came out with were like almost like was like a sure shot. Like he got it on the first mix. Um, so he was that, do you know what I mean? We were that sort of like
You're on that
connect.
wavelength with immediately.
Yeah, he was delivering like exactly what was the remit for doing it. It was, yeah, it was really cool.
Nice. This is your sixth album overall, the third album since the reunion.
Yeah.
Um, I recorded a podcast with a mate of mine yesterday where we were discussing, our favorite third album that a band created. and I had to put up Hammer and Anvil in my top 10 because I adore that record. I just wanted to know what are your memories around recording that and then that sort of time period.
Hammer and Anvil. Wow, that seems like a long time ago. What was it? 2011,
2010, I think.
2000. Okay.
Certainly around that period.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had a lot of fun recording it. I did it with Tom Bellamy, as you
Oh, he
probably
was in
know,
Cooper Timber Clause, wasn't he?
in the Super Temple Clause. Yeah, and yeah, I would again some of the tracks like I would have quite mapped out at home, but very basic demos. Other tracks, yeah, I would sometimes just go with him with real basic skeletons for tracks, and then we would just do them at his place. I would go to his place in North London. It was on the North Circular. It was quite a strange place. It was like they were going to tear down the houses, but he was like in there, not squatting. No, he was in there like stopping squatters from coming in.
Oh, okay.
Paid like really cheap rent, like £100 a month, to just sort of keep this house from squatters coming in. But it meant that you could make loads of noise in there, and
Yeah.
we just used to go and make the music, and we drank a lot at that time. We both drank a lot. I mean, I'm now 8 years without any booze. But at that time, like we were hitting it pretty hard. Um, but yeah, we had a lot of fun making that record in that
Nice.
strange house on the north.
Well, I remember seeing you on that tour. I think there was sort of when obviously not long after that you guys went on a hiatus for a while, and I saw you in Norwich at the Arts Centre up there on and that was me and my wife came down to that, and it was great. Really good show. But what I'm more excited about, obviously, you guys just announced a UK tour for later on this year, so I'll get to see you live finally again because that was the last time I saw you, so it's well overdue. Uh, Getting to see you guys. So I obviously come down to London show, so I'm looking forward to that. Is this, am I right in thinking this is the first full UK tour you've done since the reunion? I know you've done sort of a couple of shows here.
That's it, because we just did in 2022, we just did London.
Yeah.
That Yeah, so we did some European shows and it was just London. So this is the first time where we're doing a run of shows since, I don't know, maybe since that farewell stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I take it Ravi and Annika will be on the touring lineup.
Yeah, definitely. So Ravi, Annika, Greg,
Oh, Greg's
uh,
coming over as well. Brilliant.
will be able to.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, nice one, man. Oh, so I'm really excited. It's gonna be a good one. So, what does the rest of the year hold out for yourselves?
Well, the good news is that the label have taken up the option for the next record. So that's great. Um, we have a super supportive label.
Is it Inside Out you were still on, are you?
Yeah, yeah, and the best prog label, progressive rock label out there, I'd say. I would definitely say. So they take up the option before they know how many copies it sold. Um, and that's great, and I mentioned Thomas and Freddie before. We have a good relationship with these guys at the label. Um, and also at the Berlin office, it's really cool that we can talk about what singles are coming out, and yeah, and we're super fortunate to be making music. So I've already started on a couple of demos.
Oh, nice.
So let's see where things go. So yeah, there's going to be recording. What other shows? There's some European shows because we've got a couple of festivals. And I guess the UK shows will take us to the end of the year. So then we're into 2025. We've got Cruise to the Edge, which is this prog cruise, which happens, it leaves Miami and then goes to the Dominican Republic. Where does it go to? Somewhere near the Bahamas, I think, maybe the Bahamas. So we're on this prog cruise with,
Nice.
with lots of proggy bands.
Sounds like a good cruise to me.
So I get to check out Robert Fripp, Steve Hackett, Riverside, I believe,
Oh,
too. So,
brilliant.
yeah.
That should be a good one. And then obviously, then we're starting to crouch on 2026, which is somehow 20 years since the Dark Third, which I find that weird as a listener. I don't know how it makes you guys feel, but
Yeah, it feels a bit weird when I think about making the demos in our university bedroom. To then 20 years later, I guess that was even before. This would have been like in 2003 or something like that. Yeah, it feels weird, but I'm really looking forward to doing some shows. You know, playing the Dark Bird in full,
Nice.
and doing, yeah, the rest of the material from the 6 albums. So,
Oh, amazing. Well, thanks for your time, John. I appreciate it, mate. It's been great to catch up with you, mate. Um, so the album isn't quite out yet, so we can't play any of the other tracks, although they're all storming, and I urge people to go and buy the album. But we're going to play Dig Till You Die at the beginning of the interview and Useless Animal at the end of the interview as well. Obviously, Coming Up to Conscious is out 6th of September, guys. So if you're listening, go grab that and grab a ticket to the UK tour. I can't wait to see you in London, mate. As I say, it's long overdue, and
cool.
really looking forward to it.
Me too.
Thanks for your time, mate. I really do appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Lee. I look forward to seeing you in London.
Yeah, see you there, man. Take care of yourself. Cheers,
See
John.
ya.